Hello everyone, my name is Teodrose Fikremariam, and I'm out here at Rocco's Pastry, which means pastry shop, and I'm here to interview the owners, Rocco and Mary, and they've done some amazing things in terms of defying tyranny and standing up for the American dream. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and just cut into the conversation. Man, there's so many. Your story is amazing. I've been here for the past hour, and the way that you treat your customers, you treat them like family. I guess let's just start at the beginning. You decided to stand up against this vaccine mandate. What are the reasons? Why are you doing that, and why do you think this matters?
So I'm standing up against this vaccine mandate because if we go ahead and do this, there goes the Constitution, there goes our civil liberties, there goes our freedoms. We are a couple steps away from full-blown communism. I said it a million times. I don't know how the mayor of New York thinks it's okay that we should now be discriminating our customers based on their vaccine status. I don't understand how the mayor thinks it's okay that as the employee of my own business, I should be forcing myself to get vaccinated or fire myself. I don't understand how the mayor thinks it's okay that we should be segregating people in the year 2021. I thought we left that behind many years ago. I just don't understand how the mayor thinks any of this is okay and how he feels that he can trample on the Constitution. Last I checked, we are still living in the United States of America, and I think people really need to wake up, because if they don't wake up, they're not going to have the country that they've been able to live in. I mean, we are now eliminating people from walking into a restaurant, sitting down, having a cup of coffee. We are eliminating people from going to a movie without ID or a vaccine. It's not the American way.
What are your thoughts, Rocco? Thank you for saying that. That's beautifully said. What are your thoughts, Rocco?
Well, it's 100% un-American. The country was founded on freedom of religion, freedom of speech. People have the right to freely choose what they want to put in their body, albeit, what they believe is good for them and their families, as do I. And we as civil citizens have to respect each other and their decisions that they make. So I'm totally opposed to this, vaccination mandate. It's against people's free will. And it is discrimination, and they want us to discriminate and segregate the people based on the new class that the mayor just established, which is the vaccinated and unvaccinated. This was a dark time in our history. We're well past that, and now he's bringing it back in a different form. We're not segregating blacks and whites anymore. It's going to be the vaccinated and unvaccinated, and it's completely out of line, un-American, and against every principle that we believe in.
Yeah, by the way, this is, I've made the comparison in the past about Jim Crow and about what happened in Nazi Germany. And each time I was vilified for that, because they kept saying, well, is anybody being lynched? Or is anybody being gashed in chambers? And the point I keep making to them is that's what happened at the end. At the beginning, what happened to Jews was not what happened at the end. It started off with demonizing them, blaming them for what happened in Germany in the 1920s. And then that gave people the license to ultimately do what they did to them. So when you demonize people, that creates potentially mass atrocities. So I really am. I'm thankful for the fact that you're standing up to this, because Germans back then did not stand up while people were being.
Well, because it's completely unthinkable. You would never think that something like that could happen, or that it could happen again. So how did it start with the Jews in Poland? They had to wear a little star, a yellow star on their body, right? So what's the difference now? Papers were being checked back in Nazi Germany. We're kind of doing the same thing now, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. At what point do we say enough is enough? So I have to check papers for somebody to walk into a restaurant to sit down. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? I keep trying to put this, hound this point in. You need a card. You need ID to walk into a restaurant to sit down in the city of New York. That's insanity. It's complete, utter insanity. I feel like I need a megaphone and I want to run to the middle of the street and I want to start screaming. Do people understand that this is not normal? It's not right. It's not normal. It goes against our founding principles. It goes against every bone that I have in my body to turn around and ask a person if they've been vaccinated or not to sit indoors. So I don't think that's okay. I don't think most people think it's okay. I mean, I have to tell you, most of our customers are vaccinated. They've told me that if any other establishment asks them if they've been vaccinated, they're not going to enter. So I don't think this is so much about the vaccine. We can all have our issues about the vaccine. I have my own. But to tell people that they cannot sit down, to tell people they can't go to a movie theater, to tell people that they can't go to the ball game with their children, to tell people they can't go to a concert, to tell people perhaps in the near future they can't get on a bus, they can't get on the subway, they can't get on a train, or they can't get on an airplane unless they're vaccinated is full-blown communism.
Thank you, Mary. So what are your thoughts, Rocco?
Going back to something my wife touched on earlier, like she said, we do have customers from both sides of the aisle. This is not even a left or right issue, but there's, both sides of the aisle vaccinated that completely do not agree with this at all. My brother-in-law is vaccinated. He's, on the left side. And he says the minute he goes to an establishment that cards him or asks for his vaccination status, he'll never patronize that establishment again. So now we've been hearing this all the time by most of the customers, and it's so ironic because Yahoo did like a snap poll, came out that said 80% of people completely disagree with this. So I mean, it just goes to prove that people do not want to feel a certain way, or it's their privacy. It's not my business to know what their health status or what they did in their life, and it's not my job to discriminate against them. In the 80s, when there was the AIDS epidemic, I never questioned anybody at the door saying if you have AIDS, you have to sit outside. Right. It's insanity. What's going on is just craziness. And there was a couple from Minnesota that came in, and they were on the Lower East Side, and they were trying to have something to eat. And every place that they went to, they were denied entry. And they told us, after Googling, we popped up, and they saw that we're accepting everybody. And they said it was the most horrible, horrifying experience, and the feeling that they felt is something that no human should ever feel.
So, I mean, I have a couple of things. I mean, this has been it's been a process. So I didn't start out thinking any of this was going to happen. A lot of unintended consequences. And one of them is, to the mayor, he does not realize a few things. First of all, he's essentially united people on both sides of the aisle. I've said it before, I'll say it again, he's united blacks and whites. He's united Muslims and Jews. He's united people of all creeds, all faith, all nationalities, all ethnicities. I cannot tell you the different walks of life that have walked in here saying thank you. So he's essentially become unifier. Can you imagine? Bill de Blasio is just now a unifier of New York City and maybe perhaps the country. But let me tell you something else that he did. I had somebody walk into this place yesterday. He walked in, his name was Caesar. Caesar told me that, he went to special ed when he was a child. He was always different. At 5 years old, whatever vaccine that was administered to him, he had a severe allergic reaction to. So therefore, he cannot take another vaccine. He almost died. He told me that it's only him and his mom. And he also told me something else that was really, really disturbing. He told me that he lives on the Upper West Side. He frequents a diner that's there since he's a little boy. He told me that throughout the shutdown and throughout limited capacity, he was there every day and he supported that restaurant. He went in there the day before yesterday and he he ate, said goodbye, and then he went in there yesterday. And they denied him entry yesterday because he was not vaccinated. He turned around and he said, but guys, you know me, I grew up here. You know that I can't take a vaccine. And they turned around and said to him, I'm sorry, if you're not vaccinated, you can't sit down. So he came here yesterday, told me this story, was almost in tears, and he said to me, I don't want to feel different again. I don't want to feel the way I felt when I was a little boy. I was always made fun of. I was always meant to feel different. And if I have to feel different, I need to leave. He goes, but my mom can't leave. She has to stay. So, Bill de Blasio, are you listening? That's a minority boy that has a mental disability, that cannot take a vaccine, that now feels that he has no place in society because you've decided we need a vaccine mandate. So I don't know how anybody, anywhere, on any level can think this is okay, and we need to stop this vaccine mandate now. And I hope that people listening to your podcast, I hope there are people listening that understand that this has got to stop, and I hope that I hope that I can do it because I feel like I need to save the world. And I always ask myself, what am I going to do when I grow up? And I just found what that is. I'm going to make sure that I am the voice for every person that's looking to me now that wants this to stop.
Thank you so much. It's I think there's some of us in life feel compelled to act, and we're empathetic. We have empathy. And the mistake sometimes that we make is we want to take on the whole world by ourselves. The thing is, though, it's one-on-one. When we connect, eventually we become many, and that's how change happens. So don't take on too much. You have a powerful voice, but ultimately God's in charge, and His will is going to come out. So don't mean to preach to you.
No, it's okay. It's true.
God chooses certain people to work through.
Yes.
Yes. So I feel God is working through us. I'm a low-key guy, I'm not in the public eye. I like what I do. I wake up, I provide a service. But I'm under the radar. Like, I don't like the publicity. I don't like the fame. It's just not who I am. But I'm out here. I'm doing this for what's right.
No, on that note, what happened in Germany would not have been possible if enough people spoke out. Sadly, people did not speak out.
Well, what they say? They say courage is contagious.
Yes.
And when we did this, our main goal was not political. It was not at all to be political. But it was to hopefully give courage to other businesses to stand up and join in the fight, because we feel like this is the last stand. In New York, if New York falls and if this is allowed to happen, then the whole country is finished. It's going to spill over to every state, and it's going to continue across the globe, and we're gonna be a society without freedom.
Yeah.
So my wife did, in an interview, said to Laura Ingraham on Fox News, she said, "After all, Laura, what's money when we don't have freedom?"
Wow. Yes. Just, by the way, he just gave me the title for the article, which is "Courage is Contagious." It takes one, right? In every, whether it's biblically or even in the American Revolution, one guy said no, and he threw a rock, and that's how the revolution started in Boston. So just do your part, and everything else, human beings will catch up to us. So can you tell us a little, like, one of the things that I tell people all the time is that if you do good, good will come back to you, right? I'm not saying that you're doing. I know based on your passion, there's no money motive in this. You're doing this because you care. But I was the same way as well. I was homeless for 2 years, and I wrote a book. I didn't want to sell the book because I'm like, as an artist. So I used to give it away. My wife was like, no, sell it, because that's you getting back what you deserve, right? So in that way, have you seen an uptick in business as a consequence of this? Have more people decided to come over here and patronize you because of it?
The support has been overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. So, nobody really wants me to say this, but I thought the sign was going to go up, and I thought a window was going to come through my window. A rock. I'm sorry.
Right.
A rock was going to come through my window. I thought that I was going to get passerbyers screaming, "I'm killing people." I thought everything that I thought did not happen. I thought there was going to be a drop-off in business. I thought people were going to shun the establishment. I thought so many different things other than what really happened. So since we've put this sign up, the support, the patronage, the phone calls, the social media reach out, people sending me money and handwritten letters through the mail. I got about 10 of them today. You're welcome. I got about
just
10 of them.
happened right now.
Yeah,
it just happened right now.
I get the thank you all day. And yeah, so there's been a huge uptick in business. But listen, when this went up, I thought I was going to lose business. When this went up, we spoke the night before it went up, and we were okay with losing everything. This was losing everything for me. This was possibly not being in business next month or next week.
Right.
So there is absolutely no financial motivation. If there was a financial motivation, I don't think that sign would be up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why other businesses aren't doing it. They're afraid of the licenses being taken away. They're afraid of the fines. They're afraid of, the unknown. I'm more afraid of losing my country. I'm definitely afraid of losing the freedoms that I have, and that's more important to me than any dollar in the bank. As I said it before, of course, money is a big deal. You need it to live. But I don't want to live under tyranny. I want to live free. Of course, I don't want to break laws. I'm not looking to be doing anything illegal. I just want to do what's right.
Well, the supreme law of America is the Constitution, right? So anything that's anti-constitutional, as an American, you're supposed to break it. That's where I see it. You're defending America by saying no to this illegal mandate. It's illegal what he's doing. In the 1960s, Jim Crow was legal. Were we supposed to comply with that? And then before that, slavery was legal. Did that make it right?
That's the funny thing. We're supposed to learn from the mistakes of the past.
Right.
And now what's happening is we're going back in time. The mayor completely transformed New York. In such a short time, he threw us back 30 years. And
if not more than that.
If not more, yeah. And now what he wants us to do is go back to that time, in our history and start segregating and discriminating against people all over again. And it's not happening. I'm not going to do it.
Just for the record, there's some people that's going to get upset by that. But if you look at the least vaccinated group in New York, they're African American. So that means the ones that are disproportionately getting discriminated are African American. This is backdoor segregation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I said that. I said that the mayor is asking me to be an extension of his segregation policies.
Right.
I mean, he's asking me to discriminate against the black community. What about Taylor? Taylor came in from Boston. He's a black man. He said, I've never been here before. I said, but guess who? He told me, guess who hasn't been vaccinated? People with the color of my skin.
Right.
So he goes, but I'm here to support you. And I've had so many. This is a mostly white area. I don't know exactly what the demographics are, but I have had more people of color walk into my establishment in the past week than I probably had in the past month. Okay?
Yeah.
I have people of color and minorities coming from everywhere thanking me. So obviously they feel like they have no place to go. The mayor better wake up. He's, like I said, he's got a wife of color. She's black.
Right.
They're a biracial family. There's unity there. There should be unity here in New York City. He's got to bring people together, not separate them.
Yeah.
History is going to be very harsh on him. Bill de Blasio, I don't want to say now because I just don't want to say, but history will judge him, and I don't think it will be judging him kindly. He ruined New York. He's in the process of just, taking the final nail through the coffin. He's killed it. He says he's unlocked New York City. He's completely locked it down.
Yeah.
There's nothing free about New York, and I kind of thank him for that, I guess, because it's waking a lot of people up to the lack of real policy that should be happening out there.
Just for the go ahead.
I was going to say, when 9/11 happened,
right,
it brought all
everyone
of New
together,
York together. And this is almost similar to that moment.
Reverse.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
People are going to come together because it's people of all walks of life.
Right.
All religions, all races and ethnicities.
Right.
It's been the most amazing experience just to speak to them. The stories are compelling, and it just emboldens us and drives us harder to do what's right.
You know, the thing about America, I say we, I'm an American citizen. I'm originally from Ethiopia, but I'm an American citizen. I know Americans, sometimes we gotta go to sleep, but when they wake up, it's a giant. You know, Japan learned that lesson in World War II. Don't attack a tiger, and you know they're attacking tigers now. And so I'm not advocating violence.
No,
but it's
peaceful.
You can't. I mean, in life, you can only push people around for so long. And
peaceful civil disobedience.
It's just say no. Exactly.
Just say no. We will not comply.
There was something else that came to mind. So what they're doing. By the way, this is not for me. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue, because Republicans are just as complicit in what's taking place right now. So Biden is just as much of a fascist, if not even more so, than de Blasio. But then so are the Republicans. They're not doing anything. They're fighting about masks, but they're not talking about the vaccines. I see what they're doing. But in the 1960s and 50s, they outsourced segregation enforcement to businesses and to states. In fact, they used to say states' rights. They used to say states' rights. And businesses can do, this is what George Wallace, a segregationist, an avowed segregationist, used to say, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. And their main motto was states' rights and business rights. And now this is what Biden and de Blasio are saying. Businesses can do whatever they want. They could discriminate. States could do whatever they want. Local cities could do. This is segregationism all over again. So it's we're not only are we not learning from history, they're intentionally repeating history. Anyways, all that being said, can you tell us a bit more about Rocco's and I see how you treated me and how you treat everyone that walks into the store. Different, right? You embrace us. I go to Starbucks, this doesn't happen. So just tell us about
because
that.
when I think of Rocco's, I consider it my home. You know, growing up, I always wanted to emulate my father. And learning, by his side, he taught me a lot. And, I was a young kid, always wanting to run out, go out, with my girlfriend or go out with my friends. And it was probably like 1 in the afternoon, and my father was saying to me, "Where you going?" I'm like, "Dad, I want to go out. I got to meet this one and that one." And he goes, I would actually often tell him, "I'm going home." And he goes, "But you are home." So Rocco's is my home. So anyone who enters it is my family. And we treat them as such. My father left Italy at 17 years old, a young boy, with no one in this country. So, if you think about it, that took a lot of guts, So, he was leaving Naples, his whole family was there, his mother saved up a lifetime of money to buy him new shoes, because they were poor, they came from a poor family. So, he's saying his goodbyes, emotions, running. And he got on the boat, and now he's sailing away, and he's just looking into the sunset. And he looked down at his shoes, and you could see his toes through them because they had holes. And he remembered at that moment that he left his shoes on the dock. So, he didn't have nothing. So he was traveling by himself. And then when he came to New York in 1956, he got a job as a dishwasher in a bakery. And after 1 week working, the owner of that bakery, Joe Zema, told him, "Rock, come work with me on my table. You're too good to do what you're doing." And from that point, he learned from his mentor at the time. And in 1974, he was able to purchase what is now Rocco's. And, he grew it into an amazing business. If you speak to him, he says his roots run deep into the city on Bleecker Street. And it was a 47-year-old institution. And growing up, like I said, I wanted to emulate him. And, we did just that. Me and my sisters took on the business in 2010 when he retired. And we since then opened a second location, a wholesale entity. This store right here in Bay Ridge is 8 years old. And that's it. I'm continuing his legacy. And unfortunately, de Blasio wants me to close my doors because I don't believe in segregating and discriminating against people. I love all people, I welcome all people. Rocco's will always have the door open for everybody.
You know, I mean, if you think about it, the store is in Greenwich Village. It's like the epicenter for the gay community, right, in New York City. And we've never shunned people away. Never have shunned people away. Didn't matter, and we're not going to start now. We didn't say no then. I mean, it's just again, it's not a. To me, it's just completely discriminatory. I can't articulate my feelings most of the time. I really can't.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. I really can't articulate my feelings because I can't find the words on how so many levels it just feels wrong. And I don't know if it's because I'm just a compassionate person. I don't know if it's because of the Constitution per se. I just know it's wrong. There's nothing right about this. It doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, I just don't do it.
And growing up, my wife was a product of the public school system, and me, the Catholic school system. But the one common thing that we learned is to accept everyone for who they are and what they are. And that's what we do.
By the way, you know, I'm an independent journalist, right? You're a small business. This is what makes America great, right? Because if I was working on MSNBC, trust me, I would not be here asking these questions. I would come here to shred you apart. And if you're at Starbucks, you would not be doing this. So at the core, what made America the greatest country and the shining city on the hill was not corporatism. It was small businesses and a free press that was independent. And what we see now is multinational corporations that shipping our jobs overseas. These are communism. It's communism for the rich. And then they socialize pain and suffering for the rest of us. To wrap this up, Rocco, you mentioned something that really it keeps hitting close to home, which is that courage is contagious. One could beget two begets four, and then next thing you know, change. So can you just talk about that, like your concept of that?
Yeah, well, when we put up the sign, that's what we were hoping. Because people do say courage is contagious. And we, the main purpose was not for a left or right issue. It was really to give all the businesses locally and across the city the strength, and the courage to stand up with us, and hopefully make a change for the better. Because what's going on now is completely out of line. It's wrong, it's un-American, and it's discriminatory. And that was the motive of the sign. But now it's become a political thing, which still we'll say it 100 times. It's not political. We're hitting at the core principles of every human being, which is civil liberties. And that's what this country was founded on. And, we took a drastic turn in our history, and now we're in a completely different, direction. And we have to go back to core principles and what our forefathers sacrificed their lives for. They spilled blood to be free. And that's being taken from us.
So just to add on to that, before I throw it over to you, Mary, I'm originally from Ethiopia. I was born in 1974, same year that you were established, ironically enough. And it was a group of Marxists that came and took over, deposed Haile Selassie back then. And they said they're going to do great things for Ethiopia. And 2 years later, they killed 500,000 Ethiopians. And that's why we left. My parents literally left Ethiopia with nothing on their except what they could hold, what we could hold. That's a house, car, savings, everything. And we had a very nice life in Ethiopia. You could say that we're very privileged. Came here working 4 or 5 jobs at a time. But that's the American dream. We went from upper class to blue collar to now I'm upper class. And so this is the American dream, and this is what's being threatened. And they always come in under the guise of the public good before they destroy everything. So with that said, Mary, can you kind of pick up on that as well? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously, this is all done in the name of safety, right? So, having this vaccine mandate is supposed to promote safety. We're supposed to make sure that, people aren't getting sick. Well, I have my thoughts on that. I mean, vaccinated people are still getting sick, so I really don't even understand the purpose of separating them if we are still transmitting disease even with vaccination. But yeah, this is a quiet creep on our liberties. It's taking away our freedoms. I hope that people understand that we still need to roam freely, and that de Blasio doesn't have the right to actually take away those freedoms. I believe that we the people are the government, and I don't think we know enough of who we are, what we are, and why we're here. And it's not the job of one man to essentially put in an executive order to then initiate a vaccine mandate so that people cannot live freely, be able to come into a restaurant, sit down, have a cup of coffee, like I said before. I hope this ends.
Thank you so much. It will end, and it will end when enough of us decide to not go the path of Germany and go the path of America. And I don't say that to vilify Germany. A lot of other countries did that too, where they became silent in the face of tyranny. And I pray that Americans say, no, we're not going to go down that path. So, Mary, Rocco, amazing story. Found my new favorite place in New York. You'll be seeing a lot more of me going forward. I really am thankful for your courage, and I hope your courage is contagious. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.